She meant to send her bra size to her friend, but accidentally sent it to her boss instead. Her hands started shaking. Her world froze. She thought it would ruin her career. But when he called her into his office, what he did next will leave you speechless. Stay tuned, because you are about to watch a beautiful story and find out what happened next. Hello family, welcome to Tales by King. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel for more beautiful stories. Thank you as you do so. Sit back, relax as we dive into the story. Lena Harper woke up late that morning with a sharp gasp. Her alarm had stopped ringing without her hearing it. The sun was already high, and her heart jumped when she checked the time. "Oh no, not today," she muttered. She rushed out of bed, brushing her teeth with one hand and pulling on her blouse with the other. Her small apartment felt tighter than usual as she moved quickly from one corner to another. While reaching for her bag, she knocked over her cup of coffee. The dark liquid spilled across the table and onto the floor. Lena sighed deeply. "This day is already going wrong," she whispered. She cleaned up as fast as she could and hurried out, barely making it to work on time. Lena worked at Bright Core Solutions, a modern office building in the city. She was known as quiet, respectful, and extremely hardworking. She did not talk much, but when work needed to be done, she always delivered. Her boss, Alexander Brooks, was the complete opposite of careless. He was calm, serious, and very disciplined. Everyone respected him. Some even feared him, not because he was cruel, but because he expected excellence. Lena admired him from a distance. She had never given him any reason to complain. That morning, she settled at her desk, opened her laptop, and started organizing files. Her phone buzzed softly beside her. A message from her best friend, Maya. "Lena, did you finally measure yourself? I need your size before we order the dresses." Lena smiled despite her stressful morning. Maya was getting married, and she had been reminding Lena for days about the bridesmaid dresses. Lena had promised to send her measurements, but kept forgetting. She glanced around. The office was quiet. Alexander was in a meeting. No one was watching. She picked up her phone and typed quickly, her fingers moving faster than her thoughts. "I'm a 34C. Please don't tell anyone," loudly crying face. She laughed softly to herself, locked her phone, and placed it back into her bag without checking the name at the top of the chat. She returned to work, unaware that her life was about to change. 5 seconds later, her phone vibrated. Lena frowned slightly. Maya again, she thought. She opened her phone casually. Her smile vanished. The message was not from Maya. It was from Alexander Brooks. Her breath caught in her throat. Her hands went cold. The screen read, "Lena, I believe this message was not meant for me." The world seemed to stop. Her heart started pounding loudly in her ears. She stared at the screen again and again, hoping it would change. But it didn't. She had sent her bra size to her boss. Lena's face burned with shame. Her fingers trembled as she lowered the phone slowly. Around her, keyboards clicked and phones rang, but she heard nothing. Only one thought filled her mind. What have I done? She felt tears sting her eyes as fear rushed through her chest. She had never made a mistake like this before. Never something so personal, so embarrassing. And now, the most private message she had ever sent was sitting on her boss's phone. Lena stood up quietly, her legs weak beneath her. She didn't know yet that this single mistake, made on a rushed, careless morning, was about to open a door she never imagined. But at that moment, all she felt was panic and shame, and the terrifying silence after a message sent to the wrong person. Lena walked quickly toward the restroom, but she did not run. She was afraid people would notice. She kept her face down, holding her phone like it was burning her palm. Inside the restroom, she entered the last cubicle and locked the door. Only then did she breathe. But it was not a calm breath. It was shaky, broken, and full of fear. She leaned her back against the wall and stared at the message again. "Lena, I believe this message was not meant for me." Her eyes widened like she was seeing it for the first time. "I sent it to him," she whispered, covering her mouth. "I really sent it to him." She squeezed her eyes shut, wishing it was a dream. But the phone vibrated again. Lena jumped. Her heart slammed hard in her chest. She looked at the screen quickly, expecting another message from Alexander. Maybe anger, maybe a warning. But it was only a calendar reminder. Still, her hands would not stop shaking. She sat down slowly on the closed toilet seat, as if her body had forgotten how to stand. Her mind started racing. What will he think of me? Will he believe it was a mistake? What if he thinks I'm trying to get his attention? Lena swallowed hard. She had heard office stories before, stories that destroyed people's reputations. Stories of how one rumor could turn a good worker into a joke. And now, she had given people a reason to talk, even though she did not mean to. Tears filled her eyes. She blinked them back quickly. "No," she whispered. "I can't cry. Not here." She unlocked her phone again and opened the chat, her thumb hovering over the keyboard. She typed, "Sir, I'm sorry. That was." Then she stopped. She deleted it. Her chest tightened. "What if I make it worse?" she murmured. She typed again. "Please ignore that message. It was meant for Maya." Then she paused again. She deleted it too, because it sounded too simple for something so embarrassing. Lena pressed her forehead with her fingers. "Think, Lena," she told herself. "Just be honest. Be respectful." She took a deep breath, forced herself to calm down, and typed slowly this time, choosing her words carefully like she was writing an important report. "Sir, I am deeply sorry. That message was sent by mistake. It was meant for my friend, not for you. I apologize for the inconvenience." She read it twice. Then she read it a third time. Her finger hovered over send. She hesitated. Her heart felt like it was about to break open. Finally, she pressed send. The message flew away. And suddenly, the silence became the loudest thing in the world. Lena waited. No reply. She stared at the screen until her eyes hurt. Still nothing. Slowly, she stood up, washed her face, and looked at herself in the mirror. Her cheeks were slightly red. Her eyes looked worried. Her lips were dry. "You can do this," she whispered. "Just go back. Work. Act normal." But normal felt impossible. When she returned to her desk, her legs still felt weak. She sat down carefully and opened her laptop, but the words on the screen looked blurry. Her mind could not stay on the work. She heard laughter from the other side of the office and flinched, thinking they were laughing at her. She heard someone mention Alexander's name in a conversation, and her stomach turned. Every small sound felt like danger. Then she saw him. Alexander Brooks walked out of the conference room, holding a thin folder, his sleeves neatly rolled up, his face calm as always. He nodded at two staff members, then walked toward his office. Lena's eyes followed him, without her wanting them to. Does he look angry? She wondered. He didn't. He looked normal. And that somehow made Lena feel even worse, because she could not read his thoughts. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Still no reply. Lena kept checking her phone, then placing it down, then checking again. Her fingers were cold. At lunchtime, her friend from the accounts department, Tasha, leaned over her desk. "Lena, are you okay?" Tasha asked softly. "You've been quiet. Even quieter than usual." Lena forced a small smile. "I'm fine," she lied. Tasha studied her face. "You look like you saw a ghost." Lena gave a short, nervous laugh. "Just stress," she said. Tasha nodded slowly and stepped away, but Lena knew she didn't believe her. Lena didn't eat lunch. She couldn't. She only sipped water and stared at her screen, pretending to work while her mind screamed inside her head. Then, at exactly 2:15 p.m., her phone buzzed again. Lena's whole body froze. Slowly, she reached for it. Her fingers felt heavy like stones. The message was from Alexander. Short, clear, and terrifying. "Please come to my office when you're free." Lena's breath stopped. Her mouth went dry. For a moment, she could not move. Her eyes stayed on the screen, as if the words would change. But they didn't. People around her continued working like nothing happened. Phones rang. A printer started running. Someone asked for a document. But for Lena, time slowed. Because she knew this was it. This was the moment where her mistake would finally have a consequence. She stood up slowly, pushing her chair back with trembling hands. Her legs felt like they might fail her, but she forced herself to walk. Step by step. The hallway to Alexander's office suddenly felt longer than ever. And with every step, Lena's mind whispered the same fear. What is he going to say to me? She reached his door. She stopped. Her hand hovered over the wood. Then she took one deep breath and whispered to herself, "Be brave." She knocked and waited. "Come in." Alexander's voice sounded from inside, calm, steady, and firm. Lena pushed the door gently and stepped into his office. The room was neat and quiet, like it always was. Everything had a place. The bookshelf was arranged perfectly. The glass table was clean. Even the pen holder looked organized. Alexander sat behind his desk with a laptop open in front of him. He looked up slowly when she entered. For a second, Lena forgot how to breathe. His face showed no anger, no smile, just that serious, controlled expression he always wore at work. "Close the door, please," he said. Lena's hand reached back and pulled the door shut. The soft click of the lock sounded loud in her ears. Alexander pointed to the chair in front of his desk. "Sit, Lena." She sat down carefully, keeping her back straight, her hands folded tightly on her lap. Her fingers were twisting into each other like rope. Alexander looked at her for a moment, and Lena felt like her whole life was being examined. Then he spoke. "I received your message earlier," he said. Lena swallowed hard. "Yes, sir," she replied quietly. His eyes lowered briefly to the phone on his desk, then back to her. "I also received your apology," he continued. Lena nodded again, still unable to meet his eyes fully. "I want you to look at me," Alexander said calmly. Lena's heart jumped, but she lifted her head. Their eyes met. Alexander's eyes were not harsh. They were steady, serious, yes, but not cruel. "You seem terrified," he said. Lena's throat tightened. I'm sorry, sir," she whispered. "I truly didn't mean to send that to you. I was replying my friend. I didn't check the name." Alexander nodded once, slowly. "I figured that much," he said. Lena blinked. She expected him to scold her, to lecture her about professionalism, to warn her not to make such mistakes again. But his tone did not carry shame or insult. It carried something else. Understanding. Alexander leaned back slightly in his chair. "Lena," he said, "I called you here because I did not want you sitting out there thinking the worst." Lena's lips parted in surprise. "You've been working here for over a year," he continued, "and you've never given me any reason to doubt your character. One mistake does not erase your reputation." Lena felt a hot sting in her eyes. She quickly blinked, trying not to cry. "I was so scared," she admitted, her voice shaking. "I thought you would think. I don't know. I thought you would think I was trying to be inappropriate." Alexander's eyebrows lifted slightly, like the idea shocked him. "No," he said firmly. "That thought never crossed my mind." Lena stared at him. He reached for his phone and turned it slightly, as if showing it was no longer important. "I deleted it," Alexander said. "Immediately. It is gone." Lena released a breath she did not know she was holding. "Thank you," she whispered. Alexander nodded. "Also," he added, "I want you to understand something." Lena listened, her heart still racing. "In this office, you are safe," he said. "A private mistake does not become an excuse for disrespect. Not from me. Not from anyone." Lena's eyes widened. Alexander's voice remained calm, but his words were strong. "If anyone tries to tease you, shame you, or talk about it in a way that makes you uncomfortable, you come to me. Directly." Lena could hardly believe what she was hearing. Most bosses would have made the situation worse. But Alexander was protecting her. She nodded slowly. "Yes, sir." Alexander watched her for a moment, then his expression softened slightly. "Now," he said, "I want to ask you something." Lena's stomach turned again. "Yes," she asked carefully. He leaned forward a little, resting his elbows on the desk. "Why were you shaking so much when you came in?" he asked. Not just embarrassed, but truly afraid. Lena hesitated, because the truth was deeper than the message. Lena had always lived carefully. She grew up in a home where one small mistake became a big punishment. A place where people did not explain, they shouted. A place where shame was used like a weapon. So when she made that mistake, her mind went straight back to fear. She looked down, then up again. I've had bad experiences before," Lena said quietly. "Not here. Just in life. When something goes wrong, people don't always forgive." Alexander stayed silent, letting her speak. Lena swallowed. "I don't like being the center of attention," she continued. "And I don't want people to see me as careless." Alexander nodded slowly, like he understood. "I see," he said. Then he paused and said something Lena did not expect. "I respect you, Lena." Lena blinked again. Alexander continued. "Not because you are perfect, but because you are consistent. You work hard. You are honest. And even in panic, you still chose to apologize properly instead of pretending nothing happened." Lena's eyes filled again, but this time, the tears were not only fear. They were relief. Alexander picked up a file from his desk and placed it in front of him, as if changing the subject. "I didn't call you here only because of the message," he said. Lena's heart thumped. She leaned forward slightly. "What do you mean, sir?" she asked. Alexander looked at her carefully, like he was choosing his words. "There is something important I need to discuss with you," he said. Something that concerns your work and your future here. Lena's breath caught. Her mind started spinning again. My future. Alexander opened the file slowly. And Lena knew, whatever was inside that file was about to change her life in a way she never saw coming. Lena's eyes stayed on the file in front of Alexander. It looked simple, just a brown folder with a small label. But to Lena, it suddenly felt heavy, like it carried a secret that could change everything. Alexander opened it slowly and took out a few papers. Lena, he said, before I say anything, I want you to listen carefully. Lena nodded. Her throat was dry. Yes, sir. Alexander placed the papers neatly on the desk, then turned them so Lena could see the top page. At the top was a bold heading. Performance Review, Confidential. Lena's chest tightened again. Performance reviews were not a joke at Bright Core Solutions. People got promoted from them, but people also got removed. Alexander watched her face. You don't need to be nervous, he said. This is not bad news. Lena blinked. Not bad, she repeated softly. Alexander gave a small nod. I requested this review myself, he continued, because I needed proof on paper of what I already knew. Lena frowned slightly, confused. Alexander tapped the page gently with his finger. These are reports from department heads, he said, and feedback from people you support daily. Lena's eyes moved across the paper. She saw words like reliable, excellent under pressure, highly organized, quiet but effective, always respectful, solves problems before they grow. Lena's breath became shaky, not from fear now, but from surprise. I didn't know people noticed all that, she whispered. Alexander leaned back in his chair. They noticed, he said firmly. They've noticed for a long time. Lena slowly lifted her eyes to him. Alexander's face was calm, but there was something different now, something warmer, almost proud. You are the type of worker every company prays for, he said. The type people ignore until the day they are gone, then everyone suffers. Lena felt her eyes sting again. She tried to speak, but her voice struggled. I just try to do my job well, she managed. Alexander nodded. And that is exactly why I'm doing this, he replied. He pulled out another paper and placed it on top. This one had a clear heading too. Promotion recommendation. Lena's heart skipped. Her mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. Alexander continued speaking, steady and clear. I am promoting you, he said, from executive assistant to operations coordinator. Lena stared at him like she did not understand the English. Sir, me, she finally whispered. Alexander nodded again. Yes, you. Lena's hands began to shake again, but not from embarrassment this time. From shock. I don't understand, she said. Why now? Alexander folded his hands together. Because the company is growing, he explained. And we need people who can carry responsibility without being pushed. Lena listened closely. In the last few months, he continued, we've had mistakes from staff. Missed deadlines. Miscommunication. People making excuses. He paused. But you, he said, looking directly at her, you don't make excuses. When something goes wrong, you take responsibility and correct it. Lena felt tears fall from her eyes quietly. She wiped them quickly, embarrassed. I'm sorry, she said. Alexander shook his head. Don't apologize for tears, he said. They are not weakness. Sometimes they are proof that something matters. Lena took a deep breath and tried to steady herself. Your new role will come with a salary increase, Alexander said, and you'll have more authority. You will coordinate daily operations and report directly to me. Lena's voice trembled. I'm grateful, sir, she whispered. Alexander nodded. But I'm not done, he said. Lena froze. More? Alexander reached into the file again and pulled out a small envelope. He placed it on the desk carefully. This, he said, is something personal. Lena stared at the envelope. Alexander's voice softened slightly. I want you to know, he said, that I didn't only call you here today to protect you from embarrassment. Lena's heart beat faster. Alexander continued, choosing his words with care. I called you because today showed me something important. Lena leaned forward slightly without realizing it. What did it show you? She asked quietly. Alexander held her gaze. It showed me you don't know your own worth, he said. One mistaken message almost broke your spirit. That is not normal. Lena swallowed hard. And I realized, he added, that you carry fear like a heavy bag on your back, even when you've done nothing wrong. Lena's chest tightened. She didn't know how to respond because it was true. Alexander took a slow breath. I don't know everything about your past, he said, and I won't force you to talk about it. Lena's eyes stayed on him. But I want you to be clear on this, he continued. This office is not a place where people shame you. Not under my leadership. Lena nodded slowly. Alexander pushed the envelope slightly toward her. In that envelope, he said, is your promotion letter and a bonus. Lena's eyes widened. A bonus, she repeated. Alexander nodded. You've earned it, he said simply. Lena stared at the envelope like it was not real. For a moment, she could not speak. This morning, she walked into the office thinking she might lose her job. Now she was sitting in her boss's office being offered a promotion and a bonus. It didn't make sense. Lena's lips trembled. Sir, she whispered, I don't even know what to say. Alexander looked at her calmly and said, Say you'll accept it. Lena swallowed, her voice shaking. I accept, she said. Alexander's face softened into a small, genuine smile. Good, he said. Then he leaned forward again, his tone still calm, but serious. There is one more thing, he said. Lena's heart paused again. Alexander looked down at the file, then back at her. And this part, he said slowly, might surprise you even more than everything else. Lena held her breath, because she could feel it. The real shock was still coming. Lena sat still, her hands resting on the envelope like it might disappear if she moved too fast. Alexander's last words hung in the air. There is one more thing, and this part might surprise you even more. Lena swallowed hard. Her mind went back to fear again, not because he was harsh, but because she had no idea what was coming next. Alexander opened the folder again and pulled out one final sheet of paper. But instead of placing it in front of her like the others, he held it for a moment, looking at it like it carried weight. Then he placed it down carefully and folded his hands. Lena, he said, I'm going to speak to you plainly. Lena nodded. Yes, sir. Alexander's eyes stayed steady on her face. You may not know this, he said, but Brightcore Solutions has been going through a sensitive time. Lena frowned slightly. A sensitive time? Alexander nodded. Growth brings pressure, he explained, and pressure reveals people's true character. Lena listened closely, her heart beating faster. In the last 6 months, he continued, I have discovered something uncomfortable. He paused. Some employees have been taking advantage of the company. Lena's eyes widened. How? She asked quietly. Alexander's voice stayed calm. Missing funds. Wrong invoices. Small things at first, he said. The kind of things most people overlook because they look like normal mistakes. Lena felt cold. But they were not mistakes, Alexander added. Lena's mouth went dry. So someone is stealing, she whispered. Alexander nodded once. Yes, he said. Lena's eyes went wide. She couldn't believe it. Brightcore Solutions looked so clean and professional from the outside. But inside, something dark was happening. Alexander leaned forward slightly. I have been investigating quietly, he said. Because if I move openly, the person will hide their tracks. Lena sat frozen. And, Alexander continued, that brings me to why I called you here today beyond the message, beyond the promotion. Lena's heart thumped hard. She tightened her fingers around the envelope. Alexander looked at her carefully. I need someone I can trust, he said. Lena blinked. Me. Alexander nodded. Yes, you. Lena's lips parted. But why me? She asked softly. Alexander's answer came quickly. Because you are consistent, he said. Because you don't gossip. Because you don't chase attention. Because you don't play games. Lena felt her eyes sting again. And because, he added, you have proven you can keep your head even when you are embarrassed or under pressure. Lena's cheeks warmed, remembering the morning. Alexander continued, I watched you today. Lena stared at him. You could have tried to act proud, like you didn't care, he said. You could have blamed your phone. You could have lied. He shook his head slightly. But you didn't. Lena swallowed. I was just scared, she admitted. Alexander nodded. Fear doesn't make you bad, he said. It makes you careful. And careful people notice details others miss. Lena sat quietly, trying to understand the full meaning of his words. Then Alexander slid the last paper across the table. I want you to look at this, he said. Lena took the paper carefully. It was a list of dates, numbers, and department names. She recognized some of them. They were invoices she had filed. Some were payments she had prepared for Alexander's signature. But something was wrong. Some numbers didn't match. Lena's eyes moved quickly across the sheet. These totals, she whispered. They're not correct. Alexander watched her face closely. That's right, he said. And those wrong totals happen around the same period every month. Lena's heart started beating faster. She pointed at one line. This one, she said softly. This invoice was changed after I submitted it. I remember the original number. Alexander's eyes narrowed slightly. You're sure? Lena nodded slowly. Yes, she said. I'm sure. Alexander leaned back, a quiet look of relief crossing his face, like he had been waiting for someone to finally confirm what he suspected. That is why I need you, he said. Lena's stomach turned. What do you want me to do? She asked. Alexander spoke calmly, but clearly. I want you to step into your new role, he said, and help me monitor the operations department and the payment approvals. Lena listened, still shocked. You won't accuse anyone, he continued. You won't confront anyone. You'll just do your work and watch carefully. Lena's throat tightened. And if you notice anything unusual, he said, you report directly to me. Lena nodded slowly, understanding. This was not just a promotion. It was a mission, a dangerous one. Sir, Lena said softly, what if the person finds out? Alexander's voice became firm. They won't, he said, because I will protect you, and because you will not do anything reckless. Lena took a slow breath. Then she asked something she didn't even plan to ask. Is the person close to you? She whispered. Alexander was quiet for a moment. Then he replied carefully. Yes, he said. Lena felt her body go cold. Close to him. That meant the person was not just any worker. It was someone near the top. Someone trusted. Someone who smiled in meetings. Someone who shook hands and acted loyal. Lena's mind spun. Alexander continued. That is why I cannot trust just anyone with this. He looked at her. And I need you to understand something else, he said. Lena held her breath. Alexander's voice became softer again. Today could have ended differently, he said. A weaker man could have taken advantage of your embarrassment. He could have made you feel unsafe. Lena looked down. Alexander continued. But I'm not that man. Lena lifted her eyes slowly. I don't want you to fear me, Alexander said. I want you to trust me. Lena's chest tightened. Trust was not easy for her. But in that moment, she felt something new. Not romance. Not attraction. Something deeper. Respect. Safety. And a strange feeling that her life was standing at a turning point. Lena nodded slowly. I will do my best, she said. Alexander's face softened. I know you will, he replied. He stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city. Then he spoke again, quieter now, like he was speaking to himself as much as to her. You think today's mistake was the biggest thing that happened, he said. Lena stayed silent. Alexander turned back slightly and looked at her. But the truth is, he said, that message may have saved you. Lena's eyes widened. Saved me? She repeated, confused. Alexander nodded once. Yes, he said, because if you didn't send it. He paused. You might not have been in this office right now. Lena's heart stopped. Alexander's eyes were serious again. And you might have been the next person they planned to destroy. Lena's breath caught in her throat. What do you mean? She whispered. Alexander stared at her, his voice low but clear. I mean, he said, someone in this company has been watching you for a while, and they don't like you. Lena's whole body went still. The room suddenly felt colder. And in that moment, Lena understood. The message that embarrassed her was not the real danger. The real danger was the hidden enemy inside Brightcore Solutions. And now, she was walking straight into it. That brings us to the end of this video. I hope you find this story worth watching. Kindly subscribe for more stories. Thanks for watching.